There's more white dust in here than Pablo Escobar's guest house. More white dust in here than the set of Frozen. So much white dust in here, Scarface died. So much white dust in here, Johnny Depp already put an offer in on this car. Welcome to another episode of B is for Build. In today's episode, we are working on the 67 Mustang Fastback with the mid-engine configuration. If you haven't been watching all the episodes and you want a little catch up, this used to be a Bugatti in a movie, a fake Bugatti. It got crashed in that movie, and I like crash cars, so I bought the crashed Bugatti. Then I turned it into a Mustang. Then I saw this design on the internet, and I thought, I want that. So I contacted the designer. He said, go ahead and build that. So now we're building it. So far, it's looking really good. Now, we have 12 days before this thing has to go on a truck for SEMA, so we are under a very, very tight deadline. In today's episode, we need to finalize body work. We need to get all the sanding, all the body panels completely straight and finished and ready to be color coated. I'll just tell you right now, this car is getting wrapped, ready to be wrapped. And then we got a bunch of accessory things that we got to build, like side skirts. We got some side scoops from the GT500. Bunch of cool stuff is going to happen in today's episode, but to be honest, I'm not exactly sure what all exactly it's going to be, but it's going to be really cool. Sometimes when the deadlines get this tight, you just start building everything you know you need to as fast as you can. And that's where we're at. Ready, set, go. Stay tuned. Before we get down to work, I want to take a second out to thank our sponsor. Today's episode is sponsored by SimpliSafe. What is SimpliSafe? It's a very simple, easy to install home security system. I love it. I've been a customer for like 4 or 5 years now. I started getting very interested in home security when one day I walked out front of my house and found 2 of my cars up on blocks with the wheels stolen. And after that, I got SimpliSafe, got some cameras pointed at my cars, and thankfully, nothing's happened since. So if you're in need of a home security system, you can save big on SimpliSafe with 40% off of new system orders. SimpliSafe has great home monitoring protection. They offer 24/7 protection by live SimpliSafe professional agents ready to dispatch police, firefighters, or EMTs in the case of an emergency. And at a cost of less than $1 a day, that's less than half of the cost of the traditional home security system. And they have no long-term contracts, no hidden fees. You can cancel anytime you want. Let me show you around my system real quick. So this right here is one of my door opening sensors, and when you open it, you hear that? Da-da? That's the sound that I know one of my doors is open. Every night when I go to bed, I hit this button right here at home. SimpliSafe on. Home. And the magical SimpliSafe lady tells me that my alarm's on. And I get this nice blue glow that lets me know that it's activated too. Like I said in the beginning, I've been a customer of theirs for like 4 years. I love it for 2 main reasons. It's really, really simple to operate, use, and install, and upgrade. And it gives me a wonderful peace of mind with that 24/7 monitoring protection that I'm in a good place with SimpliSafe and that my stuff's in good hands. That's why they say there's no safe like SimpliSafe. So if you're ready to get SimpliSafe, you can save 40% off of a new system order right now. Just go to simplisafe.com/B is for build. It's on the screen right here. It's also at the top of the description. simplisafe.com/B is for build. Huge thanks to them for sponsoring this episode. Let's get back to it. So Oscar, I've been trying to hire somebody that knows how to do body work so you don't have to keep sanding. Yeah. But I don't know anybody. Oh. All right, getting started. Solid day of sanding. Now that that's done, how about another day of sanding? And that brings us to today. Let's start installing some stuff, shall we? All right, we are in the process of wrapping up all the work on this rear quarter of the vehicle, and this bad boy needs to go on. So this is a Shelby GT500 style rear quarter panel scoop. It's got, it's pretty cool because it vents air into the back, and we actually are a mid-engine car, so it's really functional, whereas with the front engine Mustang, I'm not exactly sure why they did that. Anyways, so we have this vent here and this vent here. We need to throw a little bit of, we got some perforated steel that's really, really cool that we're gonna fiberglass into these. So we have like, not mesh, but perforated steel. I think it looks better. It's a little bit more heavy duty as well. And then we're gonna panel bond this guy and maybe throw a few bolts in the back too, because we do have bolt holes that line up. This guy into here like this, and then we could start doing the final sanding on it as well. And it looks really, really, really cool. Very much complements our widened fenders. panel vents are installed. Guys, these look so good. It really helps start to like just, it really fills in all that blank space. There's always attractive stuff for your eye to go to. And with this perforated metal that we got in here, I feel like this is a perfect match. It's nice and like really industrial, and it feels really heavy duty rather than kind of the wimpier stuff. A little bit of finish work to do on this, still a little bit of body working. What we did was we fiberglassed these in. We were going to use panel bond, but we couldn't source any. Fiberglassing them in is also very, very strong. I think panel bond and then fiberglass is probably the ultimate way to do it, but this will be fine. We got body filler around here that needs to be sanded up, and these are good to go. So now Oscar is moving on to the side skirt. I realized a lot of you guys didn't know that we had side skirts coming in, so when you saw our last like Instagram posts and stuff like that, it looked bare in here, and that's because side skirt drops down over there 4.5 inches and runs the length over here, and then once it hits this part, jogs out and connects with this part here, and then from there there's another flat piece that helps fill in space there. We're going to just start working right now on the straight down piece of the side skirt. You guys, the side skirts are done. They look incredible, but we're in the middle of a little added body filler to round and edge process, so you can't see the finished product yet. It's quality filmmaking right there. See, now you have to stay tuned till the end to see the finished result. YouTubing 101, give them something to watch for.
Not the ridiculous schedule.
Not the content. Actually, yeah, just keep watching because we're building something awesome. Here we go on to more awesome stuff right here. All right, so this vehicle is mid-engine. It's very high off the ground right now, so it's kind of hard to film right now. It's mid-engine, and we want to be able to service this whole engine area, so we thought it'd be really cool if we made it pretty easy to remove the entire trunk lid, made this piece actually removable rather than completely filling it in, which most people do. They just completely fill that in, and then make our glass and hatch fully removable as well. Now normally you got to seal that glass in there really well with weather stripping and everything, because if a drop of water gets in there, oh no, that's a really bad deal because you got water in the inside of your car. Not for us, because it's just a engine bay. It's just like if water goes over your hood, right? So it gives us a very unique opportunity to make all this stuff removable. So say we're at the racetrack or doing anything and we want to make any changes, we can literally take this off, take that off, jump into the engine bay and work on our engine. So that's the game plan. We've engineered and designed all this so we can make it removable. Now we got to make it real. So game plan is the trunk lid is going to slot into a bar that we're probably going to have to run across underneath here, and the trunk lid is going to slot in and then clip down with the standard key and lock mechanism. So slot in, snap down. And then this piece will be removable and probably part of the hatch that we'll get into afterwards. So Oscar's going to start fabrication on our Fastback duckbill trunk lid.
There is a meaning buried within the sound.
The trunk lid is firmly attached. So what we ended up doing, what Oscar ended up doing, was building a slotting system. So it slots in forward and then it slots down, and we have these cool little latches that we're gonna use in the back here. It's like a nice little unique touch that we have there. So now that that's done, we are going to move forward towards the rear hatch soon, but we want to get a little bit further on the bodywork. We need to really progress with that so we can be ready. We have someone coming in to help us wrap tomorrow. Funny story, I actually hired somebody to come in and help us start wrapping the day before yesterday or something, and they bailed on us on the very last day, so it sent me scrambling. I've asked everybody that I know for help, and we've got some different people coming in that are saving the day for us on this, so that's good. A little worrisome, and yes, we were supposed to start wrapping things 2 days ago. Wait, today's Saturday, so 3 days ago? 3 days ago. So what we're doing is a very, very tedious process of going through and finding any little imperfections as we run our hands over these panels. If we find them, we circle them, we come back with glazing putty, we clean it up, we sand it back down, and we start over. We've been doing this for probably the last like 40, 50, 60 hours, maybe one person or another has been doing this process nonstop. And it's a long, long job, but it has to be done if we want to have a good looking car. We are getting really, really close. And once we get close, we'll put a high fill primer on here. That'll help us see the curvature, the shape, everything like that. If there's any high spots, any lumps or anything that we need to fix. And then as we sand down that high fill primer with a really high grit sandpaper, like a 600, then it'll be ready for the wrap to be applied on top of it. So that's the strategy. We're getting close. Kyle and Oscar are both going to jump on it, and we'll get that high fill primer on there pretty quick. Everything has a nice coat of gray. It looks, dare I say, more tame now, but man, does it really show the shape and the uniqueness and the uniformity of the shape. This thing is flowing, man. This has really got a good flow to it. Upside of getting the primer on, we were looking for different things. Are we gonna have pitting? Are we gonna have surface problems? We have a few little pits from working with the raw fiberglass. We're gonna be filling those in. On the shaping side, like wobblies, wavies, stuff like that, we don't have any of those to worry about. So that's a really, really good thing. We've gotten past that. So now we're trying to get right to that finishing stage so we can start to get the wrap on this. So a couple things that we got to do. We like to work everything to a peak, and then we sand that down to get the radius that we want at the very end. Because if your peak is right, then the radius will be right, and it's pretty easy to just come back and radius things down. So we'll be going through all these body lines that have, if it's nice and sharp, and we'll be rounding those over to a uniform radiused edge as we go by. And then Kyle's going to be putting a little bit of glazing putty anywhere that, let's see if I can zoom in on that. That's an example of where we had just kind of raw fiberglass, and the fiberglass isn't very dense, so sometimes the material has gaps, and that left a little gap. So we'll come in with glazing putty and clean that up. This is really cool. Okay, so we're getting the car dust free. We got to get the area dust free, and we got the wrap guys here. So we have Fred from Rapco PDX, and he called in all his friends from the area that could help us today, and they're going to bust out as much of the car as they possibly can today. They're doing us a huge favor because, like I said, last minute our wrap person bailed on us, and they're just literally just coming in and saving the day. So we last night stayed up late, got the primer all sanded down, got everything smooth, and everything's finished out, and now they're going to do their thing on the Mustang. This is going to be a very exciting transformation to see. Oscar, well, for the first time in many months, somebody else is working on our car, and we can't work on it. Yep. So we got to do the one thing that we can do off of the car. And one big feature for this car, every time we do a unique build, especially for SEMA, we like to do some sort of power adder for the engine. We've done superchargers, we've done turbochargers on one of our last builds. And this one, we're gonna do something that's very new to us, which is nitrous. And I love the look visually of a direct port nitrous injection because I like all the different little hose lines running for the, so each cylinder gets fuel and gets nitrous. And this car is going to be displayed in the Holley booth, which I'm very, very proud of. So we are decking it out with all that Holley has to offer. Holley, as a company, owns the NOS company, so NOS, like you've seen in the movies.
Actually, let's make it two. An area I need to buy tonight.
And also it's going to be installed in a Holley intake manifold. So let me show you around what we got, and then we gotta build it all. This is a direct port nitrous injection kit. It has solenoids for fuel. You're gonna see red is fuel, blue is nitrous. We've got a bunch of lines. We've already kind of cracked into this. So there's 2 solenoids. There's our like running tubes. These are the jetting systems that go into there and fog into here. And then when it comes to the bottles, we actually have 2 options for bottles cosmetically. So we're going with, you have a little bit wider. This is a 7-inch round diameter, the black bottle, or we also have the carbon fiber bottles to choose from. We were pretty dead set that we wanted to go carbon fiber because other stuff in the engine bay is carbon fiber, but we're not 100% sure if we want to run with these or not yet. We're basically just going to choose whatever one we think looks better. But the bottles don't have much to do with the plumbing for this. So Oscar, you want to crack the lid off of this guy here? So here's what we're going to be setting up. It's a direct port, meaning that we port in nitrous and fuel, extra nitrous and extra fuel into the cylinder system. Our fuel rails are right here. They run our injectors that pump fuel in right down at the very bottom there. You won't be able to see it. And that's just for normal driving. And then when you hit the nitrous button, it unleashes the power of the nitrous and the added fuel and shoves it right into your cylinder. So each one of these has to have one of these guys, and each one of these guys has one for nitrous and one for fuel, and then it goes back to a solenoid that controls it all. It's a lot of stuff, and it looks really cool when it's all set up, so we're gonna get to plumbing. The wrapping dream team has got a few pieces done. We'd probably have 90% of the car done, but we ran into a huge issue. But before we jump into the issue, look how amazing it looks. It looks phenomenal. This, like, the bodywork, the wide bodiness, it is so good. Oh yeah, ta-da, that's the color. It's a pearl white. It's a gloss pearl white. It has a lot of depth to it, and it shows the angles really, really well, and that's why I wanted to go with it. And that was, we're following the rendering. White body, black side skirts. So that's the good part. Bad part. On everywhere where we have these peaks, we sanded down purposefully into the raw fiberglass. Kind of like, let's just call it the original layer before we had body filler on top of it. What happened is there's a lot of pits in the raw fiberglass because it's not a super, super dense material. And those pits, they got covered up with things like glazing putty and paint and other things in like kind of small amounts. And it created a nice little shell over it, and it looked nice and smooth. But when you put the wrap on it, and then the guys to do a final, like a real installation of the wrap, there's a lot of peeling the wrap off, moving it and putting it back down. And when they peel that wrap up, pieces would pop off of those little pits. The kind of the cap on the pit would pop off and stick to the bottom of the wrap. And then when they moved it and they put it down somewhere else, it would leave dust and dirt and debris underneath in the wrap. So that like put a huge halt to everything. So that rear quarter panel, this front fender and this front fender all couldn't be done. So then we started testing how we could lock that stuff in with different types of paints, filler primer, and different things like that, like how we're gonna like really lock it in so it doesn't come back up. We found out that Steel It is the best type of paint for that. Have no idea why. I think because it doesn't stick to the wrap as well. So what we did is we filled in any of the pits that got opened up by the thing, and now we're gonna hit everything with Steel It, and then they'll be back tomorrow to probably finish wrapping this thing. So it's really exciting. It looks really, really cool. We are also really exhausted because that was like a fire drill today, and it put us, we had to figure out the problem, like a solution to the problem, put us super far behind schedule. It's 9 o'clock now. It's 9 p.m. now, and we're at 4 days left until it goes on truck. So tomorrow we'll have 3 days left. So obviously we've got a ton of work to be done. We have this car, we have the Burnt-A-Con in the works. We still have a little bit of work to do on the R69, and the single seater is falling woefully behind. But it looks cool, but it's really behind. So what's next on the Mustang, you might be asking? Interior stuff. Doesn't look really finished in there, and we need to get a lot of interior stuff. And then the big problem with that is we lost some stuff. We tried to find it. it's not here. So we're gonna focus on this dashboard here. We've got a Holley 12-inch Pro Dash right there that is gonna go in place of the old style gauge bezel thing. We're gonna integrate that into the dash, and then we're gonna make the rest of the dash look good. Good morning. Masking update. No, I'm just kidding. Overall update. It's a new morning. We went to bed about 4 a.m. last night. We got back here at like 10-ish, and we're hitting it hard. These door jambs right here, all through here, need to be black, I guess that's the end of that story. Yeah, they got to be black. So Kyle's masking stuff off, and we're being very careful not to ruin any of the vinyl wrap, because Kyle got a little creative with some spray painting in here yesterday and ruined these inlays that Fred so carefully did, and he's not gonna be happy about that. Neither will the accountant, but whatever. In the front over here, these headlight buckets, all this goes gloss black, and it's got too many angles, too much complexity to do the wrap, so that stuff gets painted. Also, our grill will get painted, so we're prepping that way when the wrap guys come, they can just go ahead and wrap this all in white, and then we can get the black ring around it as well. And Oscar is grinding away at the dash. Steady progress, steady progress.
Smoothing it out mainly.
Smooth.
Make it smooth.
Smooth it out. Yeah, cardboard aided design right there. You're not even doing cardboard now. It's down to paper. Wow.
It needs to be flexible.
Yeah. If there's anything I'm going to say about this dash, is it needs to be flexible in design, in aesthetic, in just existing. Like, let's be flexible. You could also just go all the way to the A-pillar. That might look
I thought
cool.
of that, but then it's like just a big block blocking that, and
yeah.
sometimes it doesn't.
Well, guys, we asked for help on Instagram, and I kid you not, we have half of the guys that do wrap in the Portland area all on the car at one time. There's 4 people over there wrapping stuff right now, and it's going great. Now let's talk about what's not going great. The dash. It's been a real struggle. We want it to look really good, and it's putting up a fight. Now Ford makes a dash pad, and it wasn't fitting because we have roll cage and some other things, and we've decided that we should try and trim the dash pad and utilize it. So that's the next play. We're going to try and utilize that so we can use some of the nice lines that it has and the flexibility that it has as well. So, dash pad. Alright guys, it's a new morning. Oh my god, I got so much dust on the lens. Hang on. Keeps happening. There's a lot of dust in here. It's a new morning, just woke up. We're doing about 4 hours of sleep every night. Well, that was the last time. Now we just don't sleep until the cars go. Anyways, let me give you an update. So the direct port nitrous system we were working on in the background a little bit. This is each, well, these are the solenoids, the 4 solenoids, and this one happens to be a nitrous solenoid. And you can see how it has a distribution block and 4 outputs. So there's one for each bank of cylinders. And then what we did, this is the hard part actually, well, one of the harder parts is, so we got our Holley high ram intake manifold right here, and we've tapped, drilled and tapped each port input. So each one of these guys gets a nitrous and a fuel line. The solenoids open up when you hit the button to allow that nitrous and fuel to go into the cylinder and then flow into your engine. So there's a lot of cool plumbing that goes on here and mounting of the solenoids, and then from there we're straight to the bottle. So we're getting close. This is the hard part, the heavy duty part, and then from here it just keeps looking even cooler. I really love a good V8 direct port nitrous system because of all the crazy lines. This is all the hosing. There's going to be 16 lines running off into these distribution blocks, and then from the distribution blocks to the nitrous bottles and the fuel system. So that's super cool. Getting close. On the wrap side of the world, front bumper's done. Hood is done. All of the fenders are done. The doors are done. The roof is done. The rear bumper is done. The trunk lid is not done, and the rear hatch doesn't exist yet. So we should probably build one of those. That's looking good. And on the interior side of the world, I'm just gonna say we are getting there. The dash pad idea worked out. This has got to be flushed in, and then we've got some OEM, well, reproduction Mustang trim pieces that are gonna flow through here. We've got a new shifter coming in. We've got carpet coming in. Good things are gonna happen in this interior, and it's shaping up. So some channels, you know, film stuff ahead of time. We're not filming anything ahead of time. So today is Tuesday, the same day the episode got released. It's just the morning of Tuesday. We have today, Tuesday, we have Wednesday, and we have a little bit of Thursday, and this car has to be ready for SEMA. I am going to film an episode for today, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and those will be aired a little bit spaced out because clearly there's a pretty big gap from when the cars leave here and then they actually get shown at SEMA. But I do want to stress that on this build, you guys will see it on YouTube at the exact same time that people see it at SEMA. There will be an early episode release on the morning of like Tuesday, November, whatever, 1st, I think. So same time the car cover comes off on this thing at SEMA, you guys will see it that way because you guys support the channel, you guys make it all happen. So I don't want you to like not see it at the same time because you can't go to SEMA. And if you are going to SEMA and you make it, we are at the Holley booth. So this car will be displayed at the Holley booth at SEMA this year. We also have some cars out front of SEMA. We have the R69 GTR covered in dust. That's at the Koenig Wheels booth. We have the single seater and the Burnt-A-Con out front of the show. All right guys, I gotta get to work. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to subscribe so you don't miss any more of this build. We'll see you on the next one. Peace!